I'm not hearing anything to explain between November 9th and December 14th, some finality from the DDC on dollar amounts will give us more clarity on how to revise the agreement that's already in the budget in terms of overall dollars budgeted.
Because it's on agenda number 5.
I would like to make a motion to approve the Sister Bay advancement agreement with the Village of Sister Bay, with amending the wording that the village will fill the gap between the $153,000 that is proposed that SBAA would receive minus what they will get from DDC up to $109,000.
I'll second.
So inherent in that is that we do not need to address item number 5 then, Denise? Because it
That's
sounds like what you're doing is offering a motion that pertains to item number 6.
I don't
So
know.
I'm just
I don't have the the packet
yeah.
up. I'm looking at
I thought you
everything.
included them all together, Rob. You said you were going to talk about them all at the same time.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying. So my question remains, in that motion, are we saying then, there's, we're moving
Well, no.
forward?
As the one, if those can look to raise an agenda item to repeal action of a prior meeting, I would like the same gratitude that the board needs a roll call vote to overturn what was put in place.
Okay,
And if we're saying,
Yeah.
the board has spoken and said no to the increase from 38%. After, again, very short, 2-3 years ago, we said, we made the big change. We had all kinds of discussion. This is the percentage. They need to prepare. Don't come back to us and ask for more. And less than 3 years later, they're asking for more.
Pat,
So
the
we
reason
said,
we held off on the 41% or the 38 even is because we know this room tax is going to affect us and there's going to be more coming in. It wasn't
no, it was the premise of, we said, you need to figure it out on the percentage rather than a dollar amount. That way, and this was in the favor of SBAA. We all knew the things are going to improve, and when they do, they will get more money. And until such time, you have to live on this. So if somebody wants to make the motion and reopen it and it gets blessed at the 41 and then you want to change the thing, that's the way I understand it's supposed to work.
I think there's a motion in a second that doesn't have anything to do with 38% right now.
Okay, other than what's on the books is we're not going to pay more than 38%. So that just gets superseded.
So if we,
I've had my hand raised here for about 2 or 3 minutes here, Rob.
okay, Nate,
So there are multiple ways that you can damage a partnership like this. And I believe Rob and Pat have done a great job of damaging this partnership over the years. I mean, Rob, you're really new to this. Pat has always, I wouldn't say damaged it in the past. You've had some skepticism that has been very beneficial at times. Right now, I think that's damaging this partnership. I think that we need to show SBAA we support them and we trust them that if they do get this funding, they're going to make it right. And the other thing is, if they don't make it right and they're going to come back for funding next year, you never know what the board's going to do year over year. You don't know what the next board's going to do, Pat. And that may have been the discussion back then, but each board is a different board. Each person is a different person year to year. I think that we need to do what we can to help build this partnership back up, to heal some, and to move forward.
That's fine, except that over and over, different boards have agreed on percentages and amounts. And we say, here's what should happen. And we just continue to cave more and more and more rather than less and less. And we have in writing that these are kickstart monies, that it is, here's the impetus for you to take over to support our businesses, okay? They do a wonderful job. I'm appreciative of what they do. It does not benefit me as a taxpayer. It just doesn't, okay? It benefits the businesses and pulling people in to sell revenue.
Wow.
So this is
not
the
true.
business
That is a- that is a-
association. This should be
I think
funded
everything
by
about
the
not benefiting the
businesses.
Community, Pat.
The library does not do me any benefit, and yet my taxes pay for the library. I do not go to the library. I
Let
do
me,
not use the sports complex. I never go there. I do not use the dog park. Do I complain about where my taxes go for the benefit of all? No.
It's a community.
That's fine. We all get to voice our opinion.
I don't know, Pat, I've heard you talk about the concerts and the movies quite fondly over the years, saying how great it was.
I have, and I'm glad
I've
you
heard you
brought that
say
up, Chad.
these are
because
community
they're-
things. These are locals going to this too. It's not just tourists. And a business isn't making an extra dollar from that concert or that movie or that Easter egg hunt. They're just not.
So
Or the
speaking of,
fireworks on
speaking,
Sunday, that was almost exclusively local seeing.
that's great, awesome.
It's a Sister Bay
Oh.
Advancement Association. It's
I
advancing
understand.
Sister Bay in many ways.
I have a question about the concerts last year. So last year they received all their funding, correct? A percentage of that.
Some of it we paid back.
Okay, so the concerts that didn't happen, that would be a percentage of the budget. Did the village get that money back? Or is it a surplus that should cover the 3% difference from 38 to 41%? I mean, if you would have paid bands, what are you paying the bands? 25
Well,
grand? You didn't have to pay the
the thing
bands
is-
25.
The thing is that because of the agreement that our funding gets based on percentage of the room tax from the prior year, 2020 was kind of a bust. So our funding this year was a lot less.
so it sounds to me,
How we
I
erode a
believe that
partnership
there's a
when we
motion and a
become
I'm
the-
second.
gonna,
which we
I'm
have
gonna make a
yet to
call for
address.
order, call for order. There's a motion that Denise made that sounds like it fits right in with agenda item 6. It's been voiced by one trustee about
And second.
addressing in vote item number 5. Can we table the motion and second that was made that is fluid with item number 6? And before we get to that motion and second for a vote, can we vote on item number 5?
How
To
about
bring
if
closure.
Vivian and I just rescind our second and our motion, and then I will make a motion to repeal the disallowance of the proposed 2022 operating agreement between the Village of Sister Bay and the Sister Bay Advancement Association. How's that?
That's good.
A second.
Okay. Do you want a roll call on this, Denise?
Sure.
Okay. Janelle, do you want to handle roll call on that, please? You're on mute, Janelle.
Bertle,
Yes.
okay. Baker,
I know I voted against all this in the beginning, but this whole thing shouldn't be this difficult. I'm going to vote yes.
okay. Duffy,
No.
Bell,
Yes.
Peduncle,
Yes.
Nino,
Yes.
and Zosky.
Yes, and let me add again, I'm sorry that certain number of our trustees feel I've been a damage to the partnership with SBAA or have been saying anything related to detrimental feelings towards SBAA that has nothing to do with where I stood on any of this, and where I felt it was appropriate for us to know what the DDC is
Thanks for
given.
apologizing for my feelings, Rob. That's a really good apology. Apologize.
I
I'm
want
not-
to comment that, Rob. I think you should apologize for all the damage you're doing to the village and all the village employees as well, if you're going to start there. And also this half-hearted apology where I'm sorry you feel this way, that is so full of it.
Okay,
Well,
I'd like to make my other motion now. Janelle, could you read that back to me if you wrote that down from 20 minutes ago, please?
Okay. I don't know if this is correct, but I've got that the village board approves the operating agreement between the village of Sister Bay and the SBAA that was included in the meeting packets on the condition that section 5.1 annual contribution, direct contribution shall be amended in such fashion that it states that the village will fill the gap between the $153,000 contribution the SBAA will get from the DDC minus $109,000. Is that correct?
No,
No.
no.
That's not.
So, that the village will fill the gap up to $109,000
Okay, hold on one
based
second.
upon,
Up to $109,000, okay, based upon,
the $153,000 projected that SBAA would receive in 2022. Minus the contribution from the DDC.
minus the 2022
We
contract.
don't know yet. No.
Yeah,
It's
the
unknown.
year.
Oh, okay.
That that they would receive in 2022 from the DDC, yes.
Okay, minus the contribution the SBA will get from the DDC in 2022. Okay, so what we've got then is, okay, that the village board approves the operating agreement between the village of Sister Bay and the SBAA on the condition that section 5.1 annual contribution, direct contribution shall be amended in such fashion that it states that the village will fill the gap up to $109,000 based upon the $153,000 projected contribution that the SBAA would receive in 2022, minus the contribution the SBAA will get from will actually get from the SBAA in 2023. Or from the DDC, is that right?
In 22,
Yeah, okay,
yes.
And I will
Yeah.
second that.
okay. So now that's under agenda item number 6, right?
6.
Whatever you say.
Okay,
Do we want a voice vote or a roll call vote on this, Denise?
Voice is okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried.
okay, so that was Pat opposed?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
Item number 8, discussion regarding the recommendation from the Plan Commission that the village board pass and adopt ordinance number 288-110921 that amends several sections of the zoning code for the village of Sister Bay and deletes 66.0310 second dwelling unit overlay district in its entirety. Consider a motion for action if appropriate. Supporting details were in the packet. Does anyone have any questions? Denise, you had your hand up.
I was just gonna say, Plan Commission worked long and hard on this. I hope that it was easy to read with the track changes on. And does anybody have any questions or want any background information on any of the changes that we made? And Vivian has her hand up.
I had some questions. I'm assuming they're pretty simple. Just things that are not compliant, I'm assuming are grandfathered in.
That is correct.
Okay. On page 138, this was basically, it was short-term rentals not being allowed, being excluded. Can we legally do that? I thought we couldn't. It's on lines 33 to 35 on page 138.
Unless I
This is in multifamily, so that is different than single family, Vivian.
Okay, okay. All right, that's, yeah, I know. I was reading it and going, we can't do that, can we? Okay. All right, and then downtown business district, line 4 had permitted use of
What?
single-family housing on
Yeah.
page 171,
171, let me go there. What line did you say?
line 4.
Yeah, that was implemented and put into in 2004. That was changed. That is not new. That has been there for 17 years.
Okay. I thought that was something we had been not allowing.
Right. You had to have a home there as of that date in 2004
Okay.
to remain there.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. That's my questions.
Thank you. Chad?
Chad?
Yeah, I just appreciate you guys' hard work on this because we all know there's been things that needed to be addressed. And I think in the future, inviting us or telling us when you're gonna have that public hearing, which you would anyway, it was great to be there. It was great to listen through it. It was great to, have the information. So reading this made it a whole lot easier. So as you make other changes, please remind us to listen into planning.
Thank you.
I hope someday our zoning code is truly easy to read. And we're working.
What's that?
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So I have a process question. I don't know if anybody would know this answer, maybe Janelle would. So that now that our work is done and the board has voted on approving these changes, the moratorium is over as of tonight.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, not for Nate, but for others like myself, will we be getting then a hard copy of the
Yeah.
corrected version?
It's gonna take a little bit because the formatting, there's a lot of formatting that has to be done, but I'll get it to you as soon as I can.
Okay.
Can you
All right.
get me a lovely updated PDF?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, now, who made the motion to approve that? I'm sorry, it was Scott and who?
I
And I
did.
seconded.
Okay, Chad, okay.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, discussion regarding the recommendation from the Ad hoc Green Tier Legacy Community Committee that the village board pass and adopt resolution number 478-110921 that approves the village's participation in the Green Tier Legacy Community Program. Consider a motion for action if appropriate. The state direction, did you have your hand up, Vivian?
Yeah, I have a question on this one, but go ahead. The
on it.
state,
Okay, on item 9 here. On green tier, you've got a question?
on page 207, which is the resolution, number 1, to assist the village of Sister Bay, economic development, public health, and social equity, and to recognize their efforts and progress. I really would like a sound definition of social equity. I have tried looking it up and I find the definitions contradict each other, so I really don't understand what we're saying there.
What we're saying with the form, it's a state form
Okay,
that 29 other municipalities have utilized. which is the official state recognized beginning process to becoming a green tier legacy community, is adopting this resolution. The wording of it and certain tweaks that were made to it were done at the leadership of our DNR rep, who was part of and will continue to be part of the shepherding process of getting Sister Bay through up until, you know, being officially a green tier legacy community. So as far as what, you know, we did not go through any, you know, discussion on what does that term mean. All I can tell you is the document is being used by, has been used by 29 other municipalities in Wisconsin. And it is the document that is expected by the state.
Okay.
And so that's the first stage in the process. And then what follows right behind it that we've already started working on is a sustainability score sheet that in essence allows the state visibility in a 1-year time frame to what needs to be accomplished. It also provides the opportunity for us as a beginning municipality to show the state, here's what we've been doing so far that qualifies getting us down that path. That score sheet work, Dan Klansky has delegated to Danny Lundquist. They'll be getting that to us in time for our December meeting of Green Tier when we continue on. So is there any other questions or
Just make
comments?
a motion that we approve resolution number 478 110921 as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 10, discussion regarding renewal of the intergovernmental agreement between the County of Door and the Village of Sister Bay that pertains to road maintenance and, if applicable, formulation of a designated task listing. Consider a motion for action if appropriate. I'm going to turn this one over to Dan Klansky.
This is pretty standard. They send this out every 2 years. The thing that probably we would do differently, tasks to be performed. We take care of all of our traffic signs and stuff in town. For road closures, we don't really have the barricades and stuff, so I would work with the county as far as if we had a bad accident or something, an area to close off. Removal of trees or branches, we pretty much take care of. Striping of local roads, Door County actually quit doing that, so now that's subcontracted to Kiwani, so we wouldn't check that. The county plows all of our roads, we would check that. And then washouts, local roads, if something were in bad repair, we have no equipment, so we would check that. Everything else is, you know, pretty standard of what they've been typically doing over the last 20 years.
Do we have a motion? Denise?
I have a question.
Yep.
Remembering, so on this form, it says snow plowing of local roads of 2 inches or more, including spreading of sand and salt as needed. And I remember, I don't know how many months ago, Pat was talking about how bad North Spring Road was. And there was a lot of trees on that road, doesn't get a lot of sun or whatever. I mean, is that the only standard that the county will plow, is when there's 2 inches or more? Because you get an inch and it's not plowed and it just continues to build up. And if sun doesn't get to it, I mean, do we have any give on that? Now, I
Yes, yes,
understand.
Dad sent me a list. Anytime you see something like that, give me a call. I can call Rob and we can get a salt truck out there.
We actually have an agreement with the county guys that if they think it's bad enough, because a lot of times they were calling me or they were calling Zeke or calling Bob at home.
Oh, they used to wake me up at 3, 4 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah, and they do that, but if they think it's bad enough, they just go ahead and plow.
Even though it may not be the 2 inches.
Yeah, but we can
Okay.
ask them to add salting to that if you guys are okay with that.
They will salt it. All we have to do is call them for
Yeah.
additional, anything additional, Rob said, just give him a call. He'll send somebody out.
Okay.
So, I mean, Pat, I mean, you're up and down your road all the time. I mean, if that's the case, it's just not getting sun, then, you know, you need to be the guy to call Rob or Dan or, okay.
Sounds good. I'll do it. Thank you.
I have a question for Dan. I don't know if you're going to be on any longer. I just a question about something I observed today out on Woodcrest.
Yes,
Liberty Grove was out there doing work on the shoulders on the length even past Plateau. Were you
yes,
all-
yes.
Okay, that was something that we were aware of was going to happen.
Yes, we agreed with them. They own a grader, they own all the equipment. They showed us the gravel pretty much at cost. So they're graveling the shoulder right now so it can go through a freeze thaw, settle out, and then we are both gonna pave this spring of Woodcrest.
That's what I was hoping to hear. I just noticed
Yeah.
that they were out there on the Plateau side, which I thought was odd, but okay, cool.
Well, if we're looking for a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the county of Door and the village of Sister Bay, I'll make that.
I have a
Second.
second.
Motion
Well,
by
I think we
Duffy,
should probably at the end of the document, change it from requested by the town chairman to the village president.
Okay,
Probably.
as amended.
motion by Duffy, second by Nino, as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 11, discussion regarding the recommendation from the Utilities Committee that the village board pass and adopt ordinance number 287-110921 that amends the municipal code for the village of Sister Bay in such fashion that it clarifies that sprinkler and or landscape credits are not allowed. Consider a motion for action if appropriate. Information was in the packet on this. Do we have any discussion or questions?
I'll make the motion.
Motion to approve by Baker,
Second,
second by Berto. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 12, discussion on a recommendation from the Land Acquisition Committee that the village board consider authorizing the construction of a multi-use government building on the Wiltsey property. Consider a motion for action if appropriate. Chad, is there something you'd like further discussion on, just in general on this?
Well, I think you guys were all there. Nate kind of brought up a good point in our meeting that we haven't even really decided that, yeah, we need a new building and it probably should be on that property. And without getting stuck in any details, we have to at least get that far as a village to allow our staff to start having discussions and for us to explore what we would need there and such. So I think Nate said, or Denise or somebody in that meeting said, we really need to bring this to the board for us to all just talk about it a little bit and say, yeah, is this what we want? And I think we all know we need it. But this would give it a little bit more formality, I think.
okay,
Is
so
that correct,
just
Nate?
in simple, basic terms, you're looking for,
Yeah, like, hey, we need a multi-faceted building to accommodate our administration and possibly more. And that makes the most sense of where we would put it, just something that basic. I mean, I know we all talk about it, but we've never really had a formal agreement on it. you know, and I know this isn't really maybe a formal agreement. That's got a long way to go, but it's us saying, yes, we need this. Let's start working towards it.
So it
We need
gives
to have
the
some-
the committee a definite that this is what the village wants.
Yeah, but again, like some of this, yes, the committee for sure, but it's more important really, this committee is gonna be important, right? But I mean, I think hopefully sooner than later, when we have our list, which is mostly there, we turn it over to a company like we heard from tonight or something like that, so they start really working on it. But I think to Nate's point, we just never said, yeah, we need new administration building and we should probably have it over here. We've never just agreed on it, right?
Okay.
Or had the formal discussion.
I think that's what, I mean, I don't even know if that's necessarily a motion or just general consensus. I think we need a new administration building and it should be out at the Wiltsey property. And I think if we said that much, I think that would actually be some serious progress and we'll give you guys a little bit of clarity.
Yeah, and if, does anybody disagree with that thought?
Well, while I don't necessarily disagree with it, I think it might be appropriate, maybe now, that's a big pricey thing. And if we're representing the public, at what time does the public voice in to say, A, yeah, I'm willing to pay more on my taxes for a multi-million-dollar building, and B, this is where we think it should be. You know, get some public input and opinion support that it's them hopefully leading the charge as opposed to a half a dozen people.
I agree with you, Pat, but I think that we need to have a rough dollar figure before we come out there, because I think that's going to have a big impact on people's perspective.
Well, there's $5 billion in the CIP. Is that not enough?
Let's establish what the scope of it is. Let's not get too far down that path, but let's start down that process, that path. And then when we have a little bit more, because right now we're talking about pretty general notions. I agree, we need to get the public input on this. I just think we can have just a little bit more before we do that.
Does a little bit more come from signing up with Bay Lake Regional Planning and, as discussed earlier, having them weigh in on this, or is that not necessary? Chad?
Well, I mean, well, Denise, go ahead. You had your hand up before me.
I was going to comment first on what Pat said and then Rob now. I don't disagree with that, but I think it's much too early. This is just in the talking stages. I don't think we bring it to the public until we have something concrete that we can show them and we have some kind of rough estimates to bring them along. And we don't know where the village will be financially once this comes to fruition. So we won't know the impact of that without knowing our financial situation at that particular time.
Okay, so we just go ahead and spend money before people think it's a good idea to spend money.
Well, we're not really spending money. We're just, I mean, at some point, we're elected to make these decisions. Our staff is screaming to get out of a bank with 3 little closets in it. This is just being responsible to our duties. Like, what are we just supposed to not talk about it because it costs money? To Denise's point, we may not be able to afford it, and it may be 5 years, it may be 10 years, who knows? But we have to plan. Dan will scream from the rooftops, as he did in our last parks meeting, because we don't have plans, we miss out on money all the time because we don't have any plans. Right, Dan?
Yes, absolutely.
So we need plans. We got a plan for the future.
We need to spend a little bit of money to get those plans. And yes, we can't do it for free, Pat. I know you'd prefer it to go for free. That would be much better, but those aren't going to be very good.
No, that's
plans.
fine. Okay, I guess I just not exactly sure what you want. We memorialized that this board put together a CIP plan where we forecast $5 million for a new multi-purpose administration village building. What more do you want?
I guess it was just a
We just did that
discussion.
last month, didn't we? We said last month, here's $5 million in the CIP for a new building. What? I guess
You're right.
make
It's enough.
the more, I guess make a different motion. Go ahead.
What if we had a motion to formally confirm that the $5 million for a multi-use building on the Wiltsey property in the capital improvement plan is the desire of the board at this time?
No, I would never put a dollar amount on it. If that is where, if we deem that we are desperate for a new administration building, and this is where we believe that it should go, then
10 million.
that's all that we're committing to give Chad whatever it is that he feels that he needs for his committee. That's it. That's,
I guess, Pat, what are you saying, that we should go out to the public now and we should say, hey, do we really want to move the admin building with the information we
Yeah.
have in hand? Is that?
No, and maybe it should come when we've got more of a list of what you're gonna do out there. That's fine. If
You know,
but I think at some point you need to get some public opinion before we spend tens of thousands of dollars on architects and planners and whatever else.
we had a couple brainstorming sessions. We have meetings. The public can come at any point. They can come to these meetings. It's on this meeting. They can come. I think we're all, you know, whether we agree or not, we know the time we put into this, and it's easy to be an armchair quarterback after the fact. They all can come and they all can talk. They can talk right now. It's
And
an
Chad's
agenda item.
committee has got a diverse group of people there too, that is absolutely part of the public.
Real diverse and great community minded people. So, you know, really to Pat's point, he's right. We already agreed on it. So let's move on.
Well, I guess I would like to walk out of here or have this meeting say if there's general consensus that we should we should locate the administration building at the Wiltie property.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
I'm good with
fair to
that.
say, everyone?
Yes.
I'll go with it.
Thank,
All right, so we have general consensus that the administration building will be at the Wiltsey property. Relocated at the Wiltsey property, okay? Item number 13, discussion regarding proposed revisions to the Village of Sister Bay Board of Trustees bylaws and committee commission bylaws and rules, and if applicable, confirmation of the village president's recommended citizen committee and commission appointments. Consider an appropriate motion for action. We are, there's information in the packet on this, essentially to revise the bylaws so that in the absence of a village administrator, the plan commission chair can be paid at the $25 hourly rate to accomplish necessary tasks that need to be done, and based on the expertise level best carried out by the plan commission chair. That's what's in there. I motion that we accept the proposed revisions to the bylaws.
I have a couple questions, quick. Or can we
Yes,
not do
Vivian.
that in between?
I'll second, and then you can talk.
Okay. I'm never quite sure. Sorry. On page 224, the Library Commission makeup, the town of Liberty Grove does not have a town board member on the commission. They have 3 residents. I don't know if that requires a change, probably of the Library Commission bylaws. I'm sorry, but I guess I need to know that then. And
They- I believe, Vivian, they don't have one because they haven't stepped forward with a replacement for Lou, correct?
Right.
So,
yes,
so
they
we-
do have a resident that stepped in, but it's not a board member.
right?
So,
So we're still expecting at this time that eventually they will answer for how they're going to replace Lou with somebody from their board, or that they would, you know, in their formal fashion, tell us they're proposing that it not be a member of their board anymore and that it could be a citizen, at which point we would be able to come back with another tweak to that.
okay, so we wait for them. The other issue is that the secretary treasurer, Ralph, has given us his resignation. And we are probably going to end up replacing him with 2 people, a treasurer and a clerk / building manager. So I would assume then they would both be ex officio non-voting members, but again, it's just, we'll have to make changes once that happens.
Right. If that probability becomes finality, then we would tweak it again.
Okay. All right. That's all I
Denise?
had.
Just piggybacking on what Vivian was saying. In the past, when Liberty Grove has not had board members sit on joint committees, it has created a problem. And I don't know if, without going into a lot of detail, some of you may remember, some may not. But I would really encourage a board member to be on the library commission and not changing the bylaws, that it's only all citizens, because there is then absolutely no direct
I like it.
communication with the
Correct.
board, and that was a huge problem in the past.
Yeah.
Just an FYI, or my 2 cents.
I agree with that.
And so then in keeping the bylaw reading as it does, then we're still waiting for Liberty
Right.
Grove to get back to us as far as who from their board is going to serve. Correct?
That seems right to me.
Okay. Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 14, review of the financial statements and consideration of a motion to approve the monthly bills.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 15, report on village activities by the village president, including discussion and vote as to whether or not future village board meetings shall be conducted virtually or in person. Regarding activities, I was invited to be the guest speaker at the Lions Club dinner last night. It was an exceptional evening. They were very enthusiastic. We talked about a great many things. They were very enthusiastic, in particular about our efforts to move forward on workforce housing in the village. And they were keenly interested in my explaining to them Dan Klansky's exemplary leadership as DPW since he's taken over. And it was an excellent evening. As far as rolling forward with the village board meetings, December forward, we had said we would revisit this. I would like to give every board member the opportunity to weigh in or discuss or offer their thoughts on comfort level on where things are at, and how everyone would like to proceed through the off season here, in particular through the winter into the spring. Do we want to continue as we are with village board meetings being by Zoom, and with it being up to the committee chairs as to whether there's any public meetings? Is everyone comfortable moving forward with that? Would you want to see something different? What are people's thoughts on that?
I don't think it's a matter of comfort, and I don't like it being framed that way. I think of what's the best, most reasonable course of action in the current public health situation. And we're seeing a resurgence come back up in Europe right now that is going pretty big, and they have a higher vaccination rate than we do. I think it would be prudent to push that decision off until the January meeting and do December and January remotely, and leave it to the committee chairs as it is now.
Denise?
I agree with Nate, and also I know that when we tried to do in person and some people Zooming, it did not work out extremely well. So I think it has to be all or nothing until we get the technology that is cohesive for doing both. So I am in favor of continuing as we are.
Chad, did you have your hand up?
No,
Okay.
I mean, to me, it's, I understand the health, situation, and I'm a believer in it. I'm not I think it makes more sense. Personally, I'd go either way, but the convenience of this, I'm not gonna lie, right now, when you're a single dad, is pretty nice to be able to zoom in and not have to coordinate coverage for your kid in an hour and a half away. So
So
personally, I'm
taking,
really for it that way.
yeah, taking that into consideration, Chad, and
What's
to
that?
Nate, taking that into consideration, and to Nate's earlier point about December, January, is there, when you say for December, January, Nate, is there a reason why you would be opposed to continuing the way we're doing it through March with a reassessment in March?
Not necessarily. I guess I was just saying we should do it at least to January because we won't have any. We need to see the data drop for a month before it's going to make sense.
Well,
So
I agree.
We should go all the way to March. That makes sense to me as well.
Okay, I would say considering flu season, everything you referenced, plus the fact that there's spring break coming up, et cetera, what Chad referenced, I would say, why don't we just continue as we have been through the month of March? And then at the March board meeting, we'll take it up again.
I'll go along with that consensus.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
okay, so we have consensus. We'll continue to operate village board meetings by Zoom. And we'll continue to leave the individual committee meetings up to the committee heads through March and revisit it then. Excellent.
I just have to state for the record how nice it was at 7:45 this morning to attend the utilities meeting in my pajamas.
Item number 16, committee reports. Admin committee, no report at this time. Communication Technology Committee.
Has not met.
Coastal Byways,
Byways. Okay, met October 25th. They had a checking account through DCEDC because that worked out well when they were starting. They are separating and opening their own account. They had their first discovery session with their web designers to create fictional people for their mobile-friendly app options. And they have been nominated for a funding award from the 100 Women Who Cared of Door County. Any questions?
thank you, Vivian. DCEDC,
Meets next week.
Emergency Management Plan Committee.
I don't think we're ever going to meet.
Finance,
I think we're done. I don't want to see any of you anymore and talk about money.
okay, Fire Board, we had consensus to switch auditing firms, to switch our auditing firm. Tasha's recommendation as far as shifting over to Shank would be embraced. And that's what the main thing that came out of Fire Board. Ad hoc Friends of Pebble Beach Committee.
Haven't met for a while, but have spoke with Kitchens a couple times, and I know he's reached out to Tasha. It's generally the same old story. It's an anonymous way of how these grant monies are awarded, as far as people can just say, I don't want it to be awarded, and it can be anonymous and it can go nowhere. And that's where it's at. I know Kitchens has spoken with that anonymous gentleman who did that, and in typical fashion, he hasn't really got anywhere because he doesn't fight. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, or if it can. The next step is to just try to expose how inefficient this form of government is and hope something happens. Denise?
Did Dave Leno talk to you about his conversation with Kitchens?
No.
Okay, Dave, are you still on, and would you like to share with Chad what you and I have talked about?
Has something changed? This is good news.
Well, no, it's not really changed, but
Mm-mm.
I don't think he's there.
I don't think he
He's,
did.
he's sleeping. I would be sleeping too.
I'll I'll try to summarize this. The way that this was talked about, was that the village had no skin in the game. Like we didn't take out, you know, the loan, that the grant that we applied for, you know, wasn't even for the full dollar amount, that, you know, whatever we got, we'd still have to foot the bill for the difference, that there would be, you know, some improvements and upkeep, you know, from now through eternity on that skin in the game. So that did not come through somehow, some way, and so Kitchens was all very surprised that, oh, Sister Bay is on the hook for $1 million. You took out $1 million loan. So he was going to share that information with this person who objected and try to change the conversation. Now, he shared that with me, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, maybe, or something. So I would suggest you give Dave a call. The reason that it came up is because Dave and I were talking about a bunch of different things that Kitchen was doing or was not doing. And I thought he would have been in contact with you, but give him a call to get the rest of it.
I know Tasha had reached out to me because their office has been communicating, right? At least they get back to you in a timely fashion, which is good. But they had reached out to Tasha asking about what improvements we wanted and how much that was going to cost and spend. And I, you know, and quite honestly, like, yeah, we like to have bathrooms there. And she could bring what we spent at the marina part, or not the marina, but the beach area. But the idea isn't to improve this property a terrible amount, right? You know, we want to improve some parking over time. But the premise of this thing is, you know, is half of what these grants are awarded for is preservation.
Right.
So, you know, like, but the fact that I had this conversation with him and then he's calling the village office a week later asking for this kind of information means there's still a disconnect. But I'll reach out to him again. I'll give him a call tomorrow. See where he's at, and I'll give Dave a call.
Okay.
Would a letter be appropriate to spell out that, hey, we have $1 million balloon loan that we can't afford to pay for and coming up in 2024, which is the reason that we are applying for the grant? I mean,
It can't hurt. I mean, it can't hurt, but I think at the end of the day, what needs to be done, this is politics, right? He needs to say, hey, my cohort in my Republican Party, this is really important to my community. This is important to the state. And this is exactly why these grants are here. There's not a property that's better in this state, in my opinion, for it. And that's where we need him to fight for this, because that's how this shit gets done, right? Letters are letters. And I don't know how well he's doing in that department. I don't think he's doing well in that department personally. That's where I'm at with it. But I'll reach out to him tomorrow. We can write letters until we're blue in the face, but this is his job, is to communicate with these people. And I wish Jacques was a little bit more approachable, or maybe now that he's on the mend. But at least Kitchens is responsive.
So I have a question. I can't recollect with specifics to everyone I remember seeing in the wonderful picture of the event, but I believe it was Dave, Nate, Pat, and Chad. Maybe you were there too at the Pebble Beach ceremony that was written
Yep.
about and photographed in the paper when Evers' staff was there. Is there any type? What?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Is there any type of a relationship that was fostered or developed from that get together where those of you who were present could reach out to one of those staff members and say, hey,
Well,
you came to town with us for this. Could you help support us?
It's not the administration, Rob. What happened is the administration was supportive of it. And this grant program is through the DNR. The DNR is supportive of it. And the DNR earmarked this money for this project, saying this is exactly the kind of thing, you know, we got letters a year ago saying you know, you're gonna be in the next budget cycle. We expect this to be done. But there's a committee that gets to vote on this. And this committee, one person on this committee can anonymously say, I don't agree with this project getting the money. And then it goes away. So it's a really poor way of governing, you know, and the DNR people that I'd spoke to in this meeting that Bo had set up, they pretty much knew who it was. Kitchens obviously was able to figure it out. So it's not like, you know, you don't know who it is, but he doesn't have to, being a co-chair of this committee, bring this up again ever. There's I think there's 17 people on this, and I want to say 13 of them are Republican. So if he just doesn't bring it up, it's not going anywhere. So we really need Kitchens to work for that, right? Because he's on their team. He's, you know, that's how politics works, you know, and for better or for worse, that's a lot of it. And he's not good at it. He's not good at it.
Do they allow public comment at these committee meetings?
I think these committee meetings are in closed session, I'm pretty sure, or private. And if they do, maybe that's a good question. But I mean, I've been holding off on this, but this is a story. This is a story that can be written up in the state paper, and people will write it because it's a shitty story. I mean, it's a juicy story, but it's shitty, right? My buddy's the editor of the Wisconsin State Journal. Like, I haven't asked a favor since 7th grade. I'm sure he can give me one, but I'm just hoping Joel, because Joel's going to be in this article, and I'm going to quote his inept ability if you know, or at least I feel that way. But I know as soon as that article is written, it's over. Like, they're not going to, it's not going to help us. Right. But at the end of the day, if it's not going to happen, we need to expose it because it's poor government. So that's where that's at.
Okay. Thank you. Green Tier Legacy Committee meets again on December 2nd. Historical Society.
Had our meeting on the 4th. You do not have minutes. We covered the barn tonight. That was a portion, and the rest is a Christmas market, which will be coming up here at the end of the month. It has moved along very well. It looks like a lot of the bricks are in place, and it looks like looks like we're going someplace with this one.
Thank you, Scott. 11 should be removed after past meeting. 12 ad hoc land acquisition committee. Chad, anything
You guys,
further?
I think we're all there. We had a good discussion about village's needs on that property. I may have got that meeting may have gotten a little bit in the weeds more than I like to get them in the weeds, because again, we're just at the 10,000 level. But it was great for all of you that showed up and voiced your input. Much appreciated. And hopefully I'll have a meeting here. It's probably going to be just after Thanksgiving, and then I think we got a list of the things that we need out there. We feel we need and want. But I would hope shortly after the new year, we could find a firm to start working on a plan for us. But we'll do the work on that. I mean, maybe this company that came to us today is worth talking to. They seem like it.
Okay. Library Commission, Vivian.
Me again. Working on hiring replacements for Ralph. It's going to cost more to replace him with 2 people. And even though we gave him a raise at the beginning of this year, when we broke down what we're offering to pay these new people, it's not very good. When I was with Janelle doing the job notice, I mentioned to her what we were offering, and she kind of was like, not good. So we may have to refigure that, and I may be coming back to the board early in the year, asking for more money for that, though they are very, very part-time positions, so it wouldn't be a huge amount. So just to give you a heads up on that.
Thank you. Marina Committee.
Meeting tomorrow.
Marina Fest Committee,
No meeting, our next scheduled meeting will be the 18th of November.
thank you, Scott. Parks, Properties and Streets, FYI to all trustees, a potential recommendation to the board that we convert some of the existing tennis court space to more pickleball courts will be revisited at the December Parks meeting. More to come on that. Personnel Committee.
We're continuing the process of looking for an administrator. I guess there really aren't minutes because it was closed session stuff, but I think we're going to be talking about that later.
Okay.
Plan Commission,
Any questions? You saw the product of our, 6-7 months work tonight. Thank you
Good
for
job.
approving it.
Good job, Denise.
excellent job, Denise. I continue to be absolutely blown away at your leadership and expertise in driving that process through. SBAA has announced they are supporting the Door Hotel's November 19th and 20th Ladies Weekend promotion, which now includes a Friday night shop hop with participating shops and stores remaining open until 9:30 p.m. on the 19th. Additionally, SBAA is reporting that the Door Hotel has contracted for the DC Trolley to navigate a caravan on Saturday night to the various alcohol establishments. Annual meeting for SBAA is tomorrow. Tourism Zone meets on the 18th. MOU committee has finalized the draft of the agreement between Destination Door County and Tourism Zone, which will be dealt with further at the November 18th Tourism Zone meeting. Utilities has set a tentative date for a potential December meeting. We also met this morning. What I brought up in the meeting this morning was that I had noticed, considering we're 11 and a half months into the year, the department's recognition fund had not been utilized, and wondered if we were going to be doing something to take care of the team and use some of that money for team activities, etc. And Dan Klansky mentioned that he had already undertaken some team lunches since he came on, but had been paying for it out of pocket. So we were able to clarify then that there is a budgeted amount of money to use for such things.
Could we, and I don't know why I neglected this in the meeting, but would it be reasonable to, if he has receipts or has a ballpark estimate of those prior lunches, he'd be reimbursed and that come out of that? Okay.
I think absolutely that would be appropriate.
Can I just provide some clarity here?
Sure.
Yes, if Dan has receipts, we would absolutely reimburse him. I've actually talked to him about this a couple of times, saying that, yes, that can come out of expense allowance for him. So
Good.
I know those guys are doing it. I'm aware that most of the recognition funds haven't been spent yet. The department heads are allowed to spend those recognition funds. The agreement with the finance committee was a couple of years ago that those recognition funds will be spent in an equitable manner. So they just have to be spent within the departments or with all employees in a somewhat equitable manner, whether it's for lunches, whether it's for a gift. It just cannot be simple merit-based so that, one person gets overloaded with whatever. And what we do at the end of the year with it is use it for Christmas party money. So we have our staff get together and we enjoy some time just spending some time together. But we also use it for our benefit meeting. We will use it for a lunch for a benefit meeting and for training. And a lot of it gets used at the end of the year when we have a little more time.
Good.
Thanks, Tasha. And we touched on most of that during the meeting today too.
Okay.
Just so you know. All right, Youth Center has not met. Do we have a motion to accept the committee reports?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carried. Item number 17, consider a motion to convene into executive session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851E to deliberate or negotiate the purchase of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conduct other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, and Wisconsin statutes 19.851C to consider employment promotions, compensations, performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and Wisconsin statutes 19.851G conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. I motion that at 9:08 PM, we move into closed session.
Second.
Roll call.
Oh, yes.
Berto, yes.
Baker, yes.
Duffy, yes.
Karanko, yes.
Nino, yes.
Zashki, yes. And Paula, we will get you in. Actually, you are first on the list this evening.
I need 5 here. This has been going on
yeah.
for 3
Yes,
hours.
please.
So
I
we're
was gonna
gonna
ask
break.
if you didn't.
Yeah, so we're gonna move you into the waiting room, or you can hold on. Heidi, is it easy enough to just we'll let Paula hold on and then move?
Yeah, I will put
Okay.
whoever in the waiting room you don't want to see first, but I'm trying to figure out the recording right now because it has not stopped. Janelle, do you still have control of that?
I don't think so. Let me see once, because I tried.